50 horror movie facts. The Shining. Young actor Danny Lloyd, who plays Danny in the film, was blissfully unaware of the movie he was actually making. For the entire shoot, he simply thought he was acting in a drama and had no idea he was starring in a horror film. Director Stanley Kubrick was so protective that when Shelley Duvall's character is running away from her psychopathic husband towards the end of the film, she was carrying a dummy. The color red, or some form of it, can be seen in nearly every shot of the movie. Actress Shelley Duvall has stated that the iconic Here's Johnny scene took 3 days to shoot and over 60 doors were used. The filmmakers created several doors that were easy to break, but as Jack Nicholson had previously worked as a volunteer fireman, he managed to break apart the doors far too easily, and stronger ones had to be constructed.
Here's Johnny!
At one point, Robert De Niro, Robin Williams, and Harrison Ford were all being considered for the role of Jack. However, Kubrick ultimately settled on the one and only Jack Nicholson. During the scenes where Jack can be heard typing, Kubrick recorded a typist typing the phrase "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." Additionally, Kubrick made his assistant type out pages upon pages of the phrase. None were photocopied and all were typed by hand to further add authenticity. At the time of release, the MPAA banned films from portraying blood in trailers meant for all ages. How did Stanley Kubrick get around the rule for this famous trailer? He convinced the ratings board that it was rusty water. Brilliant. Psycho. Janet Leigh was not bothered while shooting the shower scene, however it deeply affected her for years after. Until her death in 2004, she always took baths. While on set, Alfred Hitchcock would always refer to Anthony Perkins as Master Bates. Sick old man. Shooting in black and white was not an artistic choice. As Hitchcock was largely financing the movie himself, he needed a way to produce it as cheaply and efficiently as possible. He also believed the film would be too gory in color. On the first day of production, Hitchcock swore the cast to an oath, promising that they would not divulge the elements of the film's story. The ending was purposefully withheld from everyone until the scene was shot. Originally, Alfred Hitchcock intended for the shower scene to be totally silent. However, upon hearing Bernard Herrmann's chilling score, he completely abandoned the idea. The Bates Motel set, while moved from its original location, is still standing on the Universal backlot and can be seen on the theme park's popular tram tour. Friday the 13th. The working title for the film was Long Night at Camp Blood. The title Friday the 13th was conceived by director Sean S. Cunningham, and a poster was put into print circulation before the script was even finished. Betsy Palmer, who played Mrs. Voorhees in the film, only agreed to star because she was in need of a new car. After reading the script, she openly referred to it as a piece of shit. Oscar winner Sally Field originally auditioned for the role of Alice. The character Steve Christie was named after associate producer Steve Miner, who would later go on to direct parts 2 and 3. Screenwriter Victor Miller never planned for the film to spawn a series, claiming that Jason was merely created as a plot device and never intended him to continue his mother's work. The movie was filmed at a real summer camp in New Jersey. It remains in operation to this day and features a wall of Friday the 13th paraphernalia. A Nightmare on Elm Street. All of the scenes in the boiler room were shot in the basement of the Lincoln Heights jail, which was later condemned for dangerous amounts of asbestos, a completely different kind of horror. Heather Langenkamp beat out over 200 other young actresses for the role of Nancy, including Jennifer Grey, Demi Moore, and funnily enough, Courtney Cox, who would go on to star in Wes Craven's Scream, a film which lampooned the slasher genre itself. The original Freddy glove appeared in the first 2 Nightmare films, as well as briefly in Evil Dead 2. When Wes Craven lent it to the production of the 3rd film, The Dream Warriors, the glove was lost and has still not been located to this day. The name Elm Street is not mentioned once in the entire film. Originally, Freddy Krueger was written as a child molester, however he was subsequently rewritten as a child murderer to avoid similarities to a series of real-life molestations occurring in California in 1984. A Nightmare on Elm Street marked the feature film debut of Johnny Depp, who was cast in the film largely because the producer's daughter considered him dreamy. The story goes that he accompanied his friend Jackie Earle Haley to his audition, but upon seeing Depp, Craven asked him to read for the part. Depp got the role of Glenn. However, ironically enough, Jackie Earle Haley would go on to play Freddy Krueger 26 years later in the remake.